Welcome tonight. In recognising the cultural diversity of our great city, I pay my respects to the local Indigenous people of Moreland by acknowledging that we meet on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. Members of the gallery, please note this council meeting is being recorded and web streamed live to council's website. This recording will also be available as video on demand. Gallery attendees are advised they may be recorded during the meeting. Councillors, just as a reminder that in line with the adopted Councillor Code of Conduct principles as outlined in the Councillor Code of Conduct, councillors should ensure that they conduct themselves in the meeting with integrity, impartially exercise their responsibilities in the interest of the local community and not improperly seek to confer or advantage any person. This behaviour will support principles for leadership and good governance that secures public confidence in the office of councillor. I would also like to say that this meeting is about submissions, so councillors will be hearing your submissions, but we will not be entering into any form of debate. We will do that at a later date. Councillors and officers in attendance. I have received that Councillor Ramos Tapnos will be in attendance but has to leave by 6:30 p.m. Councillor Michael Teddy is an apology. And welcome, Councillor Bolton. Tonight we have Councillor Sue Bolton, Councillor Helen Davidson, Councillor Megan Hopper, Councillor John Kavanagh, myself, Councillor Libby Gillies, the CEO is next to me, Narina, and Councillor Lincoln Thompson, Councillor Rob Thompson, and Councillor Oscar Yildiz. Officers in attendance tonight is the Chief Executive Officer, and I jumped the gun with that, Narina De Lorenzo, Director of Corporate Services, Mr James Scott over there, Director City Infrastructure, Mr Grant Thorne at the end, Director Planning and Economic Development, Ms Kirsten Costa, Director Social Development, Mr Arden Joseph, Executive Manager Organisation Development, Ms Anita Craven, and Manager of Government, Ms Lydia Harding. So can I please just now ask councillors to move and second and vote on accepting the apologies of Councillor Michael Teddy.
I'll move.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Okay, all those in favour? All those against? And I'll use my casting vote to accept that. Has that been? Yes, it has. Lovely. Okay. Presentation of officer reports. Just giving you an outline, I already have. This is basically submissions to the proposed budget, and it gives you the opportunity to move to the lectern to make your submission. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. You are requested to present viewpoints clearly and concisely and only speak to the content of your submission. Please don't repeat yourself and don't repeat what earlier speakers have said, and keep the discussion focused on relevant issues and points not previously raised if you possibly can. There is a 3-minute limit for each speaker, and as chair I do reserve the right to increase or reduce the time available to any speaker. But if you can try and commit to the 3 minutes, that would be great. Okay, so I have a list of persons intending to speak, so I'll call up first Coordinated Advocacy for Pokies Reform, Ms Susan Rennie. I know this is on behalf of Jeff Lake, Chairperson of Alliance for Gambling Reform.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Jeff Lake, who is the chair of the Alliance for Gambling Reform, sends his apologies. He's currently in the United States of America. And I would like to commend this proposal to you. There has never been a better time for Council to engage in coordinated action for poker machine reform. Your residents lose millions and millions of dollars every year. It's unnecessary, it's harmful, and it's doing a lot of damage not only to those people who lose that money, but to the whole fabric of the community, their neighbourhoods, their friends, their colleagues. The Alliance for Gambling Reform has developed a very clear strategic direction which fits and aligns very much with Council's excellent gambling strategy and action plan that you have in place. Moreland City Council has long been a leader in this space. You were the first council in the state to introduce a differential rate for gaming venues, recognising the harm that they cause. You've consistently been involved and engaged in innovative projects, the More Connect project, recently the Pokies Art project, bringing a clear message to your community that this is a harm that is unnecessary and it's a harm that we can stop. Poker machines are full of cons. They're unsafe, they're deceptive, they're misleading, and they're designed that way. And for too long, we've blamed community members for using those machines when, in fact, community members who experience harm are using those machines in exactly the way they were intended by the manufacturer. The Alliance for Gambling Reform has a clear strategy around building community support, building alliances, changing the conversation that's happening, and we've already seen that. Just in this last week, there's been some amazing media suggesting that it's time AFL clubs got out of the pokies game. That's not what we want from our sporting clubs. That's not a good message to the kids who you've got playing AFL every Sunday morning. And this ties with litigation that's coming up and which we are looking to councils to support, which is actually going to take poker machines to court. They're deceptive, they're unsafe, they're misleading, they're in breach of our consumer law. Let's go to the courts to prove it. State governments have failed, federal governments have failed, but local government has been the strongest voice on this issue for the longest length of time, and there's never been a better opportunity to join with this campaign. When Moreland has invested in the past in joint projects for advocacy, it has made a difference. The Enough Pokies reform campaign that you joined actually has got the state government looking at changes to the VCGLR. This campaign is going to be so much more powerful. This campaign is going to change the very face of poker machines. It's going to put money back into the pockets and health back into the households of your community, and I very much hope that you'll be able to support it, and I'm very happy to take any questions from you.
Thank you very much. I will ask councillors if they want to ask any questions. I'd just like you to, for everybody, just I note how much you are asking for, but you might want to just
public state that for the record. So we're requesting a contribution of $25,000, recognising Moreland's leadership, and there have been a number of other councils who are making similar contributions. We're working particularly with a handful of 5 or 6 councils as our key leaders. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, councillor.
What were the other councils that have funded it?
Melbourne City Council has made a very firm commitment. Monash Council has it in their budget papers, but their budget's just hasn't been formally signed yet. Dandenong are looking very positive for that, and the City of Whittlesea is also looking positive, but once again they're in a similar stage to yourselves.
And just to follow up, if I could, have you approached Casey and Geelong being the other 2 top 3?
For losses,
yeah.
They have been involved in much earlier preliminary discussions, so we haven't had the sort of depth of discussion that we've had with you at this stage.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Bolton.
One other question. When's the case due to start, or when you're anticipating?
We're anticipating mid-July. It's somewhat dependent on the QC, so I'm not in a position tonight to announce who the QC is, but we have a very, very prominent QC who's looking to take that case on pro bono. Etiquette in legal field is that it be left to QCs to announce that, and the timing will be somewhat dependent on the availability of that QC, but certainly mid-July is the desired time. There could be a few weeks after, depending on the QC and timelines.
Any other councillors? Okay, thank you very much for your submission.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, number 2, we have funding to help women in the sex industry. Rachel Riley.
Is that going to work? Yep. So, hi, my name's actually Cindy Smith. Rachel Riley's attending another council meeting tonight, but did submit the documentation, so you're correct. Thank you for letting me come and speak to you tonight. I understand you're very busy. So, as I said, my name's Cindy Smith. I'm the Executive Director of an organisation called Project Respect, and we reside in the city of, in Fitzroy, but we outreach to Greater Melbourne, and Moreland being one of those areas that we outreach to. So I'm here tonight to ask for a contribution to our very, very small budget that we have of $10,000. We are, as I said, we're not for profit. We have a proud history of working for 18 years in this area, and our model is primarily to outreach directly to brothels. So we had a recent service redesign, and primarily our model has been to outreach to licensed brothels, where now we are expanding our model to outreach to unlicensed brothels, of which Moreland has a few, and so do many other areas. Also in our redesign, one of the things we're doing is to work much more closely with mainstream agencies. You'll probably understand that women in the sex industry, they very rarely make access to community health centres or health services as such. They primarily, because of what they perceive as stigma and discrimination, they don't access to those services. In the past, our service has very much tried to replicate that. We recognise that that's probably not the best way. In actual fact, what we need to do is link much more closely with mainstream services. So I've got a background in health, so one of the areas and certainly have worked very closely with your Merri Community Health. So one of the areas that we are looking at doing imminently is to link much more with health services, but also disability service, mental health services, emergency relief. As part of that redesign, we're also offering services training. We're considered to be content experts in this area, and we get a lot of women that would not access mainstream services, but we see it's much better for our role to actually link those women into those mainstream services. So to support those services to be able to do that work, we will be trained in those services. We'll be offering much more community awareness type models with those agencies. We are currently funded by Monash LGA or Monash Council. We are funded by City of Melbourne as well. We have been funded for quite a number of years by City of Melbourne. We are approaching all councils that have 5 or more brothels in the area directly. The statistics show they're very vague statistics, but generally it's considered for every 1 licensed brothel you have 4 unlicensed brothels, and the numbers of those women are generally between 10 and 20 women working in those brothels at any one time or across the week. So we do believe that there's quite a number of women that, due to often language barriers, but also the type of work that they do, they're not getting outreach directly to them, hence that we're redesigning the model. We do need support. As I said, we are a very small not-for-profit. We have a very small budget. We do get also funding from the Department of Cabinet and Premier's Office, or Premier Cabinet Office, sorry. But again, it's very small and it goes to our core work. So this funding would contribute directly to working with Moreland in those brothels. We're also in a key position where we are linked to many national services as well. We are linked to. I was part of the consultation for the third action plan on National Plan to Reduce Family Violence. Because we are seen as content experts, we are invited to a lot of those specific consultations. So we do see our role as sharing that information back with Moreland and working back with Moreland and also with those agencies. Tomorrow morning I've got a meeting with the Australian Federal Police, and that is a usual meeting that we have. So it would link Moreland directly with some of those agencies to actually get that information about what's going on in Moreland around trafficking and the like.
Okay, thank you very much. And may I just get you to publicly let us know how much you're looking at?
Yes, $10,000, thanks, Councillor.
Does anyone around the table have any queries? Yep. Can I just go Councillor Bolton first and then Councillor Hopper?
I was just wondering, I think I have heard of your organisation, but I'm not that familiar with it. I'm wondering, is it the work mostly about linking sex workers up with services, or is it sort of like, how does it work with sex worker collectives and groups like that have sort of been fighting for sex workers' rights as workers?
Yes, there's a great continuum, obviously, of where certain agencies sit on that continuum. Our position, so we do work where we can in alliances. We do link women straight into other services, is how we see our model. But our work sits in the position, or sits on the continuum, as we recognise that whilst there certainly is a very robust community that works and supports for sex workers and sex workers' rights, where our position is that we recognise that the industry does do harm to some women, and we support those women that would like to leave the industry or just want generally information around that. Also, what we do is we have quite a number of women that actually do voluntary work with us, women from the industry, that student placements with us when they go on to do other things, work for the dole for us, because we're actually seen as an industry, we're an organisation where they can come and do that and basically reinvent themselves. So we do that as well, which is a little bit different. But we recognise that the industry is not actually everything to everyone, and some women need to get out of it.
Councillor Hopper.
Thank you. Thanks for your submission tonight.
Okay.
I was just wondering, with the grants that you've received from other councils,
Yeah.
has that been through a direct budget process, or have you applied for community grants programs that they might offer for local organisations?
Community grants programs.
Okay.
Yes.
And so in this case, was it that you missed Morelands community grants, or you just wanted to?
No, we're just trying a number of strategies. Our finances are such that we need to be very creative and try every strategy we can.
Sure,
So,
great.
yep.
I'd love to chat with you outside of the council meeting between now and the budget. I'm councillor responsible for the status of women. So is it okay if I use the contact details that have been provided on the form to get in touch and arrange a direct meeting?
Yes, that would be
Great.
wonderful.
Thank
Thank you.
Do any other councillors have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's actually for the officer, if possible, in planning. Just how many registered brothels we do have, and whether they pay an annual fee to be registered. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Through the Mayor, I would need to take that on notice. I'm sorry.
Because I think that's important information, to be honest.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
we just confirmed our figures today, and it was 4. It was 5, but one recently closed down. So we have the figures through the Business Licensing Authority as 4.
And do you know if we charge an annual fee for registered brothels?
There is an annual fee, yes.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
quite a hefty registration fee
It
as
is.
well for them
Yeah.
through the Business Licensing Authority.
Okay. Thank you very much.
May I just quickly ask, are you aware of any unlicensed?
Yes, it's quite a lot. Just
Yeah.
recently, the Australian Federal Police did quite a significant venture. I don't know what they call it, siege. They went into 200 unlicensed brothels 10 kilometres outside the CBD. So tomorrow we're meeting with them to find out what did they find on those. But we get quite regularly, we get women calling us who they define themselves as being trafficked. We've had 2 in the last fortnight where they generally know that they're moving into the area to work as a sex worker, but what they don't know is what that entails. For many women, they actually are sleeping at the brothels. That's quite a regular thing. They move in, say, on a Sunday, and they'll sleep there until the Wednesday, and they'll do their shift like that. So there's a lot of signs of women that are trafficked into these, and so it's really important that we go in there, or other agencies similar to us, but certainly we would be advocating for us, to then just keep that local connection up, let them know who we are, and then what they do is they then come back into the organisation through our centralised intake service, and then we can link them into domestic violence services or, the mainstream services.
Okay, thank you very much for your submission. Yeah. Okay, item number 3, councillor remuneration and expenditures. Mr. Antonio Bonifazio.
Good evening to you all. My name is Antonio Bonifazio, 20 Winifred Street, Oak Park. This is my submission. I propose that a budget be allocated for council staff to be on call over the weekend to keep law and order. The revenue that will be raised should cover for the services provided. The reasons are, on Saturday and Sunday, builders are using nail guns, electric drills, circular saws, electric saws, concrete mixers, diesel trucks delivering materials using cranes, earth-moving equipment, large trucks delivering ready-mix concrete as early as 6:45 a.m. I think the weekends are really basically for people that need to rest at least for the weekend. Cars and trucks are being parked facing in the wrong direction. The cars and trucks are blocking our driveways. Builders are demolishing old homes and have asbestos material mixed up with the demolition material and going to the other disposal tips. And a fact of this is that it's happened right next to me just recently on a Saturday and Sunday. Further savings can also be achieved by the Council Financial Department to garnish a percentage of money from councillors each time they do not attend scheduled meeting. That's in excess of maybe probably one or two.
Excuse me, Mr Bonifazio. You are getting to what you've actually said will be your submission, but the first half of what you've submitted is not what you actually submitted to us as your submission.
I know that, but I was told over the phone, I spoke to the gentleman here that is in charge, that I can actually add to it.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll start again. The Council Financial Department to garnish a percentage of money from councillors each time they do not attend a scheduled meeting. For example, a councillor in my ward not attended over 1/3 of the council scheduled meetings. Further, a few months ago, over a 2-week period, failed to respond to my 2 voicemails and 1 text message sent to the mobile phone that is provided by council. Councillors are paid to represent ratepayers and in their ward, and as far as I'm concerned, no work, no pay. That's what it was like when I was working. I further propose to more transparency and accountability is needed by council to ratepayers. I welcome the article. I better put these on. I welcome the article in the Moreland Leader in regards to disclosure to the ratepayers. The ratepayers are subsidising developers for their planning applications. As a ratepayer, I object to continue to subsidise builders in their planning applications, and I expect other ratepayers would feel the same way. So I would expect council to write to the state government on behalf of all ratepayers stating that we, the ratepayers, object to foot this $2.5 million bill. There is a need for more transparency also and accountability for council, such as junkets and councils and for councillors or staff. Regarding some councillors intending to redirect funds, after reading the booklet Inside Moreland, dated November-December 2015, I was disappointed because the following suburbs were not highlighted with any planned work to be done. That was Gambrel, Oak Park, Pascoe South and Brunswick West. So I arranged a meeting with the Mayor, Samantha Ratnan, regarding no mention of swimming pool for Oak Park. I was told, yes, things are happening. I requested if I could be kept up to date, and I was told that someone would keep me up to date and would provide me with how the project was going. And up to date is still forthcoming. To the councillors that are suggesting to redirect the $1 million from Oak Park Aquatic Centre redevelopment, I say hands off the allocated funds. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and good evening to you all.
Has anyone got any questions? May I just very quickly, do you want to ask the question? Sorry, Councillor Thompson. I was just going to say we have been advocating in regard to the planning, the subsidising of planning permits and the work that goes on with regard to that. So that gives you a very quick synopsis of that. So we are actually doing that. Thank you for your submission.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, submission number 4, Brunswick Neighbourhood House, Nellie Kabala.
I'm actually Wilhelmina Freistein. I'm the chairperson of Brunswick Neighbourhood House. Thank you. Brunswick Neighbourhood House has been running 2 neighbourhood houses in the Brunswick area for several years. One is based in Garden Street and the other one is in War Park. Brunswick Neighbourhood House has been involved in 2 council-led processes over the past 18 months between July 2014 and December 2015 to assess the feasibility of relocating to the Saxon Street site. In December 2015, Council resolved that the relocation of Brunswick Neighbourhood House to the site was not feasible at this time, given Council's current financial constraints, and also to begin the development of a strategic plan for Saxon Street in 2016 with extensive community consultation. In the meantime, it was recommended that temporary flexible activation of the site would be sought. The management of the site has now been awarded to a private company. We understand from the expression of interest contract that the period of the contract is for 5 years and that Council will pay the successful bidders an amount of $55,000 per year management fee for the first 2 years, and that another similar amount has been allocated for capital works in the site in 2016. Brunswick Neighbourhood House has been operating successfully as a community engagement and long-life learning centre for over 30 years. In an average week, it is used by 698 adults and 90 children through our occasional childcare service. The Neighbourhood House brings people together to connect, learn and contribute to their local community through social, educational, recreational and support activities using a community development approach. For individuals, the benefits include better physical and mental health, improved child development, better education and employment outcomes and positive ageing. For communities, the benefits include positive social practices, better information, dissemination and innovation, improved social cohesion, increasing inclusive attitudes and respect, and turning community assets into outcomes such as jobs and educational achievement. Since 2002, Brunswick Neighbourhood House has operated from 2 sites. Both sites have paid staff during business hours and operate for an average of 38 hours per week. However, Brunswick Neighbourhood House receives only 1 lot of funding to operate from these 2 sites. This is compromising our capacity for growth and for adequate provision of programs to cater for the increasing and changing needs of the Brunswick community. While we wait for relocation, we require urgent additional support from Council. Brunswick Neighbourhood House is therefore requesting an additional neighbourhood houses allocation for operational support of $37,770 per annum, which is what is currently allocated to every other house, but we're running 2, to support our operations from the second venue, and an allocation for capital works in the order of $80,000 to improve the usability of both sites. Garden Street and DeCarl Street. These capital works would allow us to create more flexible spaces and to make current limited space more versatile, increase capacity in our childcare service to cater for current and growing demand for occasional childcare services, and to address inadequate heating and cooling at both sites. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillors, do you have any questions? Any questions? No? Yes, Councillor Bolton.
Just thanks very much for the submission. Just wondering if you could give a little bit more detail about the what sort of capital works that you want done.
We've submitted a list.
Yeah, okay.
We have in our submission there is a list
detail. Okay.
that was more detailed.
Yeah, okay.
But it's just basically things that we've been asking for several years. The DeCarl Street venue has a magnificent bluestone chimney that goes right through the mezzanine floor. If that could be removed, we would have a whole floor that could be used more appropriately, and just updating rooms and facilities, basically. That's pretty much it, to give more space. Garden Street is a lot of little rooms. We could rip down a wall here and there and make things, but it's all part of the submission. We've given a detailed list. So
Thank you very much. Thank you for your submission. Submission 5, bicycle infrastructure. Mr. Ross Millwood.
Hi, I'm Ross Millwood. I'm the Deputy Convener of the Moreland Bicycle User Group. So according to the proposed budget, in the first 4 years of the bicycle strategy, only 13% of the actions within the strategy have been completed. At this rate, at the end of the 10 years of the strategy, less than a third of the actions will have been completed. So one example of the slow progress is Cumberland Road, which was assessed by consultants in 2009, had consultants perform a design option review starting in 2011, and work on the ground still hasn't started 5 years later in 2016. So whilst it's in the budget, we just want to make sure that stuff happens and not just stuff gets in the budget. So while it's good to see an anticipated expenditure of a bit over 5% of $5 per resident allocated to cycling expenditure, that's meaningless unless the allocated money is spent and projects completed in a timely manner. So according to the proposed budget documentation, 13% completion, quote, represents good progress. So I personally don't think it represents good progress, and I'd just like an indication, or for the councillors to think about how you would expect the actions of the bicycle strategy to be completed in the 10 years. And one of the other things in the proposed budget was the list of, what did you call them, the wish list from state government. So I'm not sure whether you're expecting the state government to come and knock on the door, or are there any actions that the council is going to take to get those significant completion of the upfield bike path, for example, other significant expenditure that you haven't budgeted for? Is there any action you're going to take to see if you can get that money forthcoming? So you all know that cycling is a cheap way, and one of the few actions you can take that has health benefits, amenities, sustainability, and I'd just like to see sort of council come through with the results rather than just a line item in the budget. That's it.
Thank you. And I believe that Mr Nick Dolby would also like to tack on the end of that.
Sorry, tag teaming. Nick Dolby, West Brunswick convener of Moreland Bicycle User Group. You heard it from Ross. In the bicycle strategy plan, there are some 40-year projects. So at the current rate, that'll take 120 years to complete. There is grumbling amongst the cyclists. The strategy was a promise. What are cyclists expected to think of a promise from Moreland City Council over the strategy? This is the grumblings that we hear. Ross mentioned some of the benefits of cycling. Yes, there are benefits. It is a sustainable, active transport. Benefits for the cyclists. But not merely for the cyclists. It's also benefits for car drivers. Yes. Cyclists are smaller than cars. Cyclists congest the roads less than cars. More cyclists, less traffic congestion. More cyclists going to shopping centres, less parking issues. More cyclists in an area, less traffic accidents. More cyclists in an area, more passive surveillance of the community. A safer, more engaged community. What is Moreland Bicycle User Group asking for? Yes, we want increased spending. We want increased spending particularly on the missing link of the upfield path, particularly on all of Cumberland Road, particularly on the road, the bridge, the proposed bridge over to Beavers Road in Merry Creek, Northcote. We'd like to see the north of Bell Street, having major infrastructure works rolling. We'd like south of Bell Street to have all that maintenance, the upfield path maintenance and Ewing Street, etc., pushed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions, councillors? No? Thank you very much for your submission. Number 6, Shields Reserve. Sian Lavater. Is that completely wrong? Sorry? No? Okay. We might come back to the one C. Number 7, resurfacing of Reynard Street. Garda Adecho? No? We might come back to that one too. Number 8, City Oval, Peter Robertson. City Oval? No. Okay. Everyone's run away. Number 9, Allard Park Cricket Nets. Mr James Ellery.
Evening all. The North Brunswick Rosebank Cricket Club and Broader Moreland Sports Club, we aim to connect with the community to provide a safe and welcoming environment for all that we come into connection with. We're here to provide for the needs of the community, and as such, to provide an elite and safe sporting facility. This submission is for the purpose of securing cricket nets at Allard Park. Cricket is obviously very popular in Brunswick East, and for organised and recreational activity. And at Allard Park we have 150 members playing in our junior and senior competitions, as well as a Milo Into Cricket, which is an underage junior development program, and the merging of the North Brunswick Rosebank Cricket Club and the North Brunswick Football Club, as well as the Brunswick Ultimate Frisbee Club. There is 383 members using the facility across the year, along with many other Moreland Council members. Currently, the playing field isn't level for us. The cricket nets that we don't have don't allow us to run an elite facility for junior, senior and female development. Back in 2013, a Labor government promise was that we would have nets at the facility, and despite not being elected, in the 15-16 budget of Moreland Council, the works were to be completed in 16-17, financial year 16-17, and obviously in the proposed budget for 16-17 that has been cancelled and it's been put back to 2019-2020, which would make it 7 years from when we were originally proposed to receive the nets to when they're developed. And as such, we think that's a bit of an injustice to the club, as we've been working for many years to secure this, and we need to capture the community that are there and using the Allard Park facility. Along with just capturing that public use, these nets are essential for a development of our junior program run out of Allard Park, and in preparation for the launch of an all-female team, which is on a 3-year plan as part of all clubs to have a all-female team in either junior competition or senior competition for the Moreland Council. And workshops we've attended on female participation in cricket and the reasons for a lack thereof lists poor facilities and poor training facilities as a predeterminant of poor participation for women in cricket. So as a go forward, getting these nets for the North Brunswick Rosebank cricket team to field its senior or junior female team are essential. Continually, the population growth of Brunswick East is expanding, especially in the young family demographic, and on the Australian Bureau of Statistics, a 70% increase in the population of Brunswick East by 2030. And to accommodate this growth, the quicker we can get these nets involved at Allard Park, the better. It's also, as I mentioned before, the only ground in Moreland Council without a cricket nets facility, which is a major pain point of both the club and the community. And so having these nets in preparation for next cricket season would significantly aid the North Brunswick Rosebank Cricket Club to keep juniors and seniors playing cricket and capture future population growth for the local community of Moreland Council to contribute to an active Moreland, which we're a member of. This would even up the playing field if we're able to have these nets by next season and put us back on an even keel with cricket clubs in the Brunswick East area, such as Brunswick Cricket Club and West Brunswick Cricket Club. Thank you. I'm out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would any councillors like to ask questions? Yeah.
And you say that you go to Darebin to train.
Yep.
Which oval do you use at Darebin?
Cochem Reserve.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
near the golf course.
North
of the Northern Golf Course. Or
not the golf course. So Hughes Parade.
Yeah.
Hughes Parade, Massey Avenue.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right up there.
Yeah, and so we're forced to use that at the minute, which isn't great either. That's got a bit of a safety safety issue there.
That wasn't the one I was thinking of. But
Yeah, no,
I do know
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a bit of a safety issue there as well. So we're looking to get Darwin Council to sort that out. But if we were able to get what was proposed in probably this time last year for this year, if we were able to get the 3 enclosed nets in this year's budget, that would obviously be a great help and mitigate our safety risks.
So would you like to just say publicly how much the nets are going to cost?
So based on what was in the 15-16 budget for 16-17 was 120,000. That seems to be pretty consistent across all councils for the 3 net model with fully enclosed.
Okay, thank you very much for your submission.
Thanks a lot.
Submission 10, Merlinston Progress Hall. I note that there are 4 on Merlinston Progress Hall. Can I ask you all to come up and, make sure that you talk, or whatever you're talking about, you don't repeat each other, because we are limited with time tonight, that's all. Anyone from... Okay, I've got Jane Holroyd, Fern Smith, Emma Cornish-Giles, and Sebastian Furness. Okay.
Hi. I'm speaking on behalf of the Merlinston Sustainability Group. My name's Jane Holroyd. You've all got a copy of our submission, I think. I just wanted to ask you all that what our submission is calling for is that you make some commitment to this hall's future in this budget. A few of you have said that you want to see the EOI process through, and we're all supportive of the EOI process, but we're very concerned that if this council doesn't show it's committed to refurbishing this hall, that there won't be any interest shown from anyone. Why would you commit to something you don't know if it's actually going to be there, if it's ever going to be fixed? I just thought I'd share with you all this really interesting document that was sent to us by someone in New South Wales. Funnily enough, it's one of the original debentures that was issued to fund the hall in the 1920s, and there were £201 debentures issued at the time, and I had a look on the RBA's inflation calculator, and each debenture in today's money is about $78, which seems unbelievable now that people could build community infrastructure at the time sort of apparently so cheaply. I'm sure it's not as simple as £1 in the 1920s equals $78, but we all know that infrastructure is incredibly expensive, and that building community infrastructure, I don't envy any of your jobs, trying to make sure that there is enough infrastructure for residents now and into the future. But I guess I'd just like to make the point that this hall, we're not here, there's just a few of us here, but we're asking for this space not just for us, but for people in the future who are moving into Merlinston. And every street that you walk down in Merlinston, there's a single dwelling house being knocked down and six double 2-3-storey townhouses put up. And this space, it seems like such an opportunity to invest in something, yes, $600,000 to $1 million, but which will be there for the community for the future. And I also just wanted to make the point that this has not just been sitting there unused all of this time. It was built originally by the residents as a social hub, somewhere to meet and to sort out issues in their community and to run social events. But even for the last decade, or I'm not exactly sure how long, Council has been using this space to store about 200 square metres of Christmas decorations, which would be a huge expense otherwise. It's actually been very useful to you. And what we're asking for is that we let this space live again. And just finally, there might be a concern, I'm sure there is, that this space, if it is fixed, will sit there unused and underutilised. But this community has really rallied behind this space, and they really want this community. And we put together a timeline of what residents have done, and sort of around the hall over the past 5 years, and this is mostly in your term over the past 4 years. And 2 festivals, you know, petitions with more than 600 people signing it. Very long. 12 pages. You know, the space will be used. If we fix it up, it will be used. And yes, please, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you all over the past 2 years.
I just wanted to add my personal thing to what Jane was saying was that I think part of the problem too is, like, you've seen me speak so many times, but I'm actually representing my community. I'm a person who can get out, who's got the guts to come and stand here, but I actually represent so many of my neighbours. Every time I get back from one of these meetings, there's about 7 messages, and they're like, Em, how did we go? It's just that I'm brave enough to take one for the team, but they're back there and they're asking, tomorrow my elderly neighbour will come out and she'll say, Emma, how did we go? And because her husband and her used to go to the flea pit with their baby. The other neighbour, Sue, she'll ask how did we go because she had her 21st in the hall. The kids' deputy principal will ask because she used to have her first dates with her husband there. And then you think about all these things we've done. Our kids are in this hall. They've knitted things. When they do the 3-4 civics unit, and you've all been to a primary school representing the council, the kids in our community actually studied Progress Hall. Their parents wrote this. We taught our kids to engage in council through this. They believe now that they should put their hand up and get involved, preserve their history and connect community. So we've got this kind of past history of the hall, the current history of the hall, and what I really would like to say on behalf of my community is, can we please have a future? And the only way we can really do that is this council ensuring that we don't have to tell our story again, and actually commit to the full funding the hall, please. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, and congratulations, Lita, for being acting mayor. It must be a great experience.
Yes.
It's been nerve-wracking.
It's been wonderful this last week.
Yeah, it's been lovely watching people mature through the process. I'd just embellish, but just go on the more dry side of things. In regards to the hall, there's a couple of obligations that the council need to meet for that hall, and it's the Heritage Act, and which is a state and federal act, I think. And then there's the obligations, your own obligations under the Environmental and Civic Asset Local Law. And at the moment, neither of those are being met. And to rectify this, we would need the hall would need at least $600,000 to fund the hall in the capital works programs. It would be, however you manage it, it's not in this year's budget and it's not in the forward 4-year, 5-year budget. So that means that it's not in. And if it's not in, it's not in. It won't get in. So we would like to see some kind of finances put in somewhere this year, 4-year plan. The who's not here? Sebastian brought up a few other things in the area, so I'll bring those up as well. He also mentioned that the hall needs to be restored, the tennis court needs upgrading, and the boardwalk in the Baines Reserve also needs some kind of repair. And so it just indicates that the area is not being fully serviced or maintained by the council, and we'd like to see a bit of rectification in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your submission. 14, 15 and 16 are oxygen use space. Can I please ask David, Ralph, Russ, Peary and Raquel to please make their way to the lectern? Thank you.
Hello, I'm David, Ralph. Kate Gillick couldn't be here today, so I'm here instead. Outer Urban Projects has evolved out of community demand for a performing arts organisation in Melbourne's outer northern suburbs that could provide quality artistic, employment, social engagement and educative opportunities for young people and their communities. There was previously not an organisation providing that. Outer Urban Projects is driven by a new wave of emerging culturally diverse young artists, many who reside in the northern sections of Moreland, namely Coburg North, Fawkner, Pascoe Vale and Glenroy. We work with young people aged 12 to 25. 10% of our community present with disabilities, 15 are from refugee or newly arrived backgrounds, and 90% are culturally and linguistically diverse. And 90% of all of them are from low-income households. We engage over 80 participants and emerging artists in free weekly tutorials run by us in dance, music and writing with professional artists from the community. We've linked over 100 emerging artists into external training employment opportunities with arts companies and partners. We've employed over 450 emerging artists and professional artists across our major works through our social enterprise and our community tutorial program. And over 16,000 people have come to see your community, our community, across 145 venues in Melbourne. 1/3 of this work has been in the northern end of the city of Moreland. And we see this company, Outer Urban Projects, as a unique asset that has been recognised by the arts sector during a really difficult funding period in the arts. We've recently received or secured core funding up until 2020 from the Australian Council for the Arts, and today, and today we're a team of 7 with an EFT of 4.6, and which is likely to grow by 30% in 2017. Stage 1 of Oxygen, like I said, we're currently a team of 4 people working out of a room fit for 3, while the rest of the team work from home. We've moved our dance and many of our music programs to other sites like Decibels in Darebin. We recently had no choice but to host 14 potential funding donors from the Lord Mayor's Charitable Foundation in our foyer around the pool table due to a busy program that was happening at the site. Look, and to be really frank, we're at risk of moving outside of Moreland, taking the organisation to potentially Hume, where they have the global learning facilities, Decibels in Darebin, or potentially even in Whittlesea. So we've outgrown phase 1 of the current Oxygen youth space, and we strongly urge Council to commit to proceed with stage 2 of the facility in this financial year and to meet the really real youth engagement, cultural, creative, training and employment needs of young people of this community. Thanks.
Thank you.
Who's next?
My name's Raquel. I'm representing the Oxygen Committee and the Youth of Moreland here tonight. I want to begin by thanking you all the councillors past and present, for your support not only towards this committee but for all the youth in Moreland. You've given us a voice and you have allowed us as the Oxygen Committee to provide the youth of Moreland with spaces, events and opportunities. As an eager 14-year-old, I decided that simply helping out at school wasn't enough, and I wanted to make a bigger difference to those around me. So I joined the Oxygen Committee in 2010. Having recently celebrated my 20th birthday, it's fair to say that I'm starting to get a little bit worried about the definition of young person being anyone aged between 12 and 25. It also means that I've been lucky enough to represent youth for 7 years, and I'm here tonight to continue being that voice for the youth of Moreland. Young people in Moreland represent 17.5% of the population. We are Moreland's current and future artists, leaders, entrepreneurs, business people and educators. In 2010, the committee released its first report, and the research it contained screamed Youth Centre, which Council responded to by constructing Stage 1 in 2013. We now ask for your continued support as we endeavour to make the Oxygen Youth Space bigger and better. It's incredibly uplifting to see our centre being so heavily used. It has reached capacity, and in order to continue providing for our youth and providing them with more opportunities and a dedicated space, we need to expand. 15.6% of Moreland's youth are unemployed. Amongst other programs, the Oxygen Centre provides youth with access to training that increases their chances of being employed and connecting with their community. But we can only provide this sort of support to a limited number of youth, as such opportunities require a larger space to accommodate for the large numbers of people. Our centre is being used every day by youth from all over Moreland, and the number of people who use it is growing. Our partner agencies that utilise the facility to deliver programs and services are also limited by way of space. We need to ensure that we continue to keep pace with the need and not let our partners find alternate youth-friendly services and spaces to take their programs and services outside of Moreland, resulting in opportunity loss for our young citizens. Stages 2 and 3 are integral to the Oxygen Centre, continuing to provide services and spaces for the youth of Moreland, and we must not cut them off. We understand and appreciate the fact that Council have identified Oxygen as a priority project if funds become available at the mid-year budget review. However, this is not a guarantee, and we need certainty moving forward. We have planning approval for all stages in place, and we believe with the swift review of the existing plans to ensure full compliance, we're ready to go, and we can have our stages delivered within months. As a council, you have the power to allocate the funds we require now. We have done everything in our power to create well-utilised, loved and respected facility that is now at capacity. We are now humbly and respectfully asking you as a council to exercise your power and guarantee funding for construction of Oxygen in 2016-2017. Thank you again for your support thus far.
Thank you. And Mr. Russ Pyrie?
Hello, my name is Russ Pirrie. That's Pyrie's fine. Rotten Pyrie's great. I live at 4 Pottery Court in Brunswick. I am the project officer for YGLAM, which runs through Merry Health. YGLAM is a queer youth theatre ensemble. Since I took over YGLAM at the beginning of last year, we've won several awards, including the Moreland Award for Civic Event of the Year. Thank you, Councillor Hopper. And I represent one of the people who, in our community of Moreland, use the Oxygen Youth Space. I am a nobody. I'm not a young person at all. But the young people I work with represent a really small slice of the diverse young people that use Oxygen Youth Space. YGLAM has been doing very well, and we are really proud to say that we have between 15 and 20 regular participants at YGLAM, which is really great for us. And we're at the point, we've had a really wonderful relationship with Oxygen, and the reason that we engaged with Oxygen is because we, like yourselves, want to commit to a cultural hub for young people in Moreland. And because of our increasing numbers, we too are at the point where we are having to look for an alternate venue, because Oxygen doesn't currently have a space for dynamic physical activity indoors. And it means that we're going to have to move, which we really don't want to do, because we've made a commitment to this cultural hub as well. And I just wanted to say that Oxygen is at a tipping point. You have laid foundations and roots with the Oxygen Youth Space, and it has grown and it has been incredibly successful, but we are at a tipping point. We are outgrowing our current infrastructure, and we can't wait until tomorrow. We need this second phase today. We need this second phase yesterday. And what will happen if we lose people like Outer Urban Projects and tiny little people like YGLAM, it means that the current trajectory that Oxygen is experiencing will falter and it will fall. And we need the expansion today. We need the expansion today.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions? Thank you very much for your submissions. 17 and 18 are Oak Park Swimming Pool. Can I ask Mr Glenn Pentland and Rory Sercombe to come up to the lectern?
Not here.
Not here? Okay, 19, Bush Reserve, Bellevue Street discontinuance, Mr Jules Martin.
Good evening, thank you for hearing us speak today. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Council on the wonderful job that they've done with the existing Bush Reserve. It's a great park. It's receiving a toilet as we speak, which is even better. I live very close to the park, use it very regularly. However, as you may be aware, the park is actually incomplete as per the original plans presented to community. At the Council meeting on the 12th of February 2014, Council resolved to commence the formal procedures to discontinue part of the east-west section of Bellevue Street, and then on the 11th of June 2014, Council voted in favour of this road discontinuance. Basically, the road discontinuance was proposed to create one continuous piece of parkland, and it aims to enhance both safety and access to Bush Reserve. So I'm sure you're all very familiar with the site, but I'll show you. Yeah. Currently, this section of the park is completed to the north. Bell Street's up here. The existing car park to the south is still almost, a little bit of a tip. It's basically being used for storage at the moment, and Bellevue Street is still in use. It hasn't been blocked off as proposed. So basically, community haven't heard anything since the opening as to when this work is likely to be continued. I seek consultation on this. Also would like to inquire as to when this work will be completed as per the original plans we were consulted on, and encourage and urge Council to deliver on their resolutions so that community receive what we were what we were consulted on, and safety and access concerns are addressed at the site.
Councillors, got any questions in regard to this or with regard to this? Thank you very much for your submission.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sorry. Yes, please.
Not of just through the chair to the director. What have we got currently in place there? It's blocked off, the street's blocked off. Where are we with what's happening there at the moment?
Through the Mayor, the current works are underway to actually close off Bellevue, and it'll effectively just be a grassed area. There is then further work required to install the playground and other elements which were part of the original master plan.
Just to follow up there, I can tell you that the toilets are now working too.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your submission. 20, Kelvin Thompson Park. Ms. Catherine Fox, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Heidi and this is Catherine, and we are locals in Cleve Road in Pascoe South. And we're just here tonight to put in a submission to update or make safe, really, our park, which is Kelvin Thompson Reserve. We missed the date, to send in things. We weren't sure about that, so sorry about that. But we just wanted to, Catherine will read.
Sure. A few things we'd like to see are, this is my little boy Krishna, who came with me to meet Kelvin Thompson. We have a Facebook page, and he's on our Facebook page. Excuse me, we've all got a cold. I've got twins. Sorry. Make some noise.
Yeah. Great me.
So what we'd really... Oh, goodness me. What we'd really like to see is possibly 2 barbecue pits, some picnic tables, updated play equipment, some soft grass for my twins to crawl around. At the moment, when we go to the park, the first thing we have to do is check for glass on the slide, which is pretty sad. A drinking fountain with a dog bowl.
There we go. Sorry about that. We'll just move that. No problem.
Okay.
So mainly what we're looking for is to make it safe. There is a lot of, there's poor lighting and we know that parks aren't lit, but because it's at the back of the railway line and Strathmore High where it's located, there's a lot of kids get down there and drink and it's, things are smashed and oh, Bubba. And it's just, and the monkey bars, the equipment's extremely old and the monkey bars haven't been updated for years. They're just really, really high and they're actually unsafe, some of the equipment, okay, down there. So really we just wanted to put it out there. We have started the Facebook page, as Catherine mentioned, and we've also...
Sorry about that.
Working well.
And we've got quite a lot of signatures
from locals in the area. And look, it's a highly used park. That's the other thing is it's, I also back onto the park and there's people out there walking dogs, exercising. It's a great running track around it and stuff just through the bush kind of thing. But it's a really highly utilised park in the area. Strathmore Secondary College uses it for sport and PE as well. They come over into it. So it is a highly used park and we've kind of been out in the park getting signatures and talking to people. And it would be, we know that money is tight and stuff like that, but if we could put some money towards making it a little bit safer. And it's also advertised that there are barbecues and facilities there, like the park where it says Calvin Thompson Park, actually do say that there are things. So that's pretty much our submission, guys.
Yeah, and another little thing, when you speak to the Strathmore High kids and you ask, you tell them about the park, they're like, oh, the creepy park just across the road. And you have to say, yeah, that's the one. Or,
yeah,
so
the
it's ghetto over there. And you think, you really don't want to be living up the street from that when you've got 3 little kids.
No. And I've got 4 little kids.
So,
okay, thank you very much. Councillors, I believe Councillor Hopper has something to...
Catherine, thank you for contacting me on Facebook, and I'm sorry that I haven't got back to you since when you contacted me earlier in May, but I did speak to our Director of Infrastructure about this, and I do have some feedback.
Excellent.
It's allocated within the 2017 to 18 budget for an upgrade at your park. So it's not this coming financial year, it's the following financial year. But yeah, it is within the draft play strategy to be upgraded in 2017 to 18. We did send somebody out as well just to clear up a bit of
lighting issues?
Yes, stick litter. Okay, oh good. I was going to ask whether they had been out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good. So somebody was sent out to look at the immediate issues, but the upgrade is scheduled at the moment in the playground strategy for 2017 to 18.
Excellent.
Awesome. So is that looking at the equipment and that kind of thing, or the whole space, or what's that actually?
Yeah, I believe so. Like, that'll be a proper... Yeah, mainly the equipment. But when that's coming closer to us, if I'm still on council, and I'm sure other councillors are probably interested as well, what we might do is have a look at what those plans are and see if we can get you to consult on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. That'd be amazing. Thank you. We appreciate that.
And can I just thank, I also have received messages from you, and I think we responded, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I did forward your emails on to Grant.
We're quite vocal on Facebook.
Putting it out there.
We just thought it was a great way to get out.
Can I just ask as well, the director, or just a request maybe that we get some of these items costed, because there's a lot of general sort of park maintenance line items in the budget. So there might be a couple of things that we can make some progress on straight away.
That'd be awesome.
And a lot of these things will be very common for a lot of our parks. So if we can get a lot of those costed, we can actually see what we can work within the current budget parameters for this year and then do the major equipment the following.
That'd be great.
Through the Mayor, can I just ask, I know where the park is because I live literally around the corner. Doesn't get frequented much though, does it, except for some bike riders that use it?
Oh no, the time.
Yeah?
People train there all the time. Like people, because it's on the hill, a lot of people run like laps around it kind of thing. They train up and down. It's 4 o'clock, Sunday afternoons. It's like a dad's meeting ground. I think we all throw go down the back park kind of thing.
So it does get used.
It gets used a lot, yeah, absolutely.
There's so many young mums in the area. I've got a busy mothers group. We have to hop in the car and go to Coburg Bush Reserve. And that park...
You know what the biggest problem with that park is? The terrain.
Amazing.
Because it's on a bit of a hill.
Calvin Thompson Park, do you mean? Yeah. But more so that where the actual park is, that's quite flat. The hill's quite good for running and stuff. Where the actual...
I'm really sorry.
No,
we can certainly have that conversation, but we're asking questions, but it needs to be related to the part so that we can move on, if that's all right.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry,
and thank
Councillor
you for
Ewers.
saying with relation to the thing. And the main thing is the monkey bars are so high. I've got four children, but my 3 girls love the monkey bars, and we can't let them on there because the drop.
I'm worried about that baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your submission. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, look, he's waving.
Okay, I'll just very quickly go back to Shields Reserve. Is Sian Levateur here, or Levateur? No. And the resurfacing of Reynard Street, Garda Adicho? No. And City Oval, Peter Robertson?
No.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your submissions. That concludes the submissions for tonight. May I have a councillor to move the officer report DCS 3316, which is the full report on submissions to the budget proposed budget. Can I have a mover?
I'm happy to move the recommendation on page 3.
Thank you, Councillor Kavanagh. And a seconder?
I'm happy to
Thank you, Councillor Tapanos. All those in favour? All those against? That's